Okay. Good evening and welcome to the June 7th, 2022 meeting of the Greenways Open Space Commission. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:02. Please rise and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, but liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Bloetscher, our township liaison, will be coming late to this meeting, and Cliff St. Pierre is excused. He had some surgery on Friday and is not, as he said in his own words, not 100%. So we will certainly miss him and have him, keep him in the loop. Our first order of business is the May minutes. So before you, if you haven't already seen these. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Geist.
Second.
Second by Ms. Weeks. Any discussion?
I hadn't heard that Woody Clark had passed away.
Yes. I think that you were absent in the main meeting, yes. But, okay, all those in favor of approving the May minutes, say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Good. Are there any revisions or additions to the agenda as presented?
Do we need to introduce Cassandra as in addition to the?
We shall.
But I mean, that has to be
Yes.
an addition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, that could be an addition, okay? So we will be introducing our school liaison for next year's Greenways Open Space Commission. So is there a motion to amend the agenda as suggested?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Urbani. Second by Ms. Weeks. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against? Motion's passed. Okay, Mr. Bloetscher, we will hear his township liaison report when he comes. Bert, is there anything from the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy?
Yes, I have a few things to report. One is the airport natural area is now open on Sundays from 1 to 4 p.m. and that started this past Sunday on June 5th. This coming Sunday, June 12th, at 1 p.m. is an environmental educational event called Wetlands Wander. And I also wanted to announce that Liliana Finazzo is the winner of the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy Scholarship in honor of Dr. Bruce Jones, our founder. And Liliana is a graduate of Grosse High School and one of the valedictorians. So congratulations to Liliana.
Thank you.
I think applause is in order. Good, thank you.
That's,
Anything else?
that's my report.
Okay, great, very good. Pam Frucci with the Beautification Committee is not here this evening. Liliana, as one of your last actions as a member of the Greenways Open Space Committee, do you have anything to report from the school?
Well, we are just wrapping up the school year. I'd like to introduce my successor, Cassandra Talaba. She's going to do a great job, and I'm really hoping she, gets, I know, I'm not even hoping, I know she's going to get a lot done, and she's going to be an asset to the committee and the school.
Great. Anything else?
No, really no.
Okay. And I know as we're wrapping up the school year and summer is approaching, But again, thank you again for your service and for your good work with the schools and with the Greenways Open Space Commission. And we wish you the best of luck, I think, at the University of
Findlay. Yeah.
Yes, good, good.
Sorry, I
Thank you
don't
again.
have much more to report. I haven't been in school for 2 weeks.
Yes, okay. Yes, of course, after graduation. And again, welcome, Cassandra, to anything you'd like to say. Yeah, you can approach. May not be on, I don't know. Yeah.
So I just, we had our last meeting for the year today, and hopefully starting off the next year, we can implement some more ways to be more environmentally aware and get everyone to join the club with the incoming freshmen and hopefully make it more important than it currently is.
Good. Okay, thank you. Welcome. Speaking of welcome, our next order of business, or first off, we have welcome letters. And Teresa, I didn't know if you were handling that or if we were looking to.
Yes, I'm handling it, and Donna has sent me the list of addresses that'll get in order to go out this month.
Right. Are you in possession of the welcome letter itself?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've dropped off everything I need.
Okay.
And Donna sent me the list of names, we're all set.
Okay, cool. Could you at least send me, I don't know if Cliff has given me a welcome letter, okay, or at least a sample of the welcome, so that we can take a look, and if there's anything maybe we need to agree to change, I mean, we can,
It's not digitized, so
yeah, okay.
I'll do that step first.
All right, well, you can walk it over if you have to, but that would be fine. But again,
Yeah, you can see copies.
okay, yes, please, okay, that would be great. So again, thank you. Teresa,
Mr. Chairman, can
yes.
you explain for this new member what the welcome letter is?
Yeah.
What's it
Do you want
entails?
to explain? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, as I understand it, every new resident who comes to the island gets a letter, a welcome letter from the Open Space Committee with a, map of the open space trails and, as well as the Greenways trails and I think there's, how would you explain it? There's, some history in the pamphlet as well. They explain about the Greenways and the Open Space Committee, and that goes out to every new member, new, person who moves to the island. So those addresses come from the township to us, and then I put together a package and send it out.
Good.
Thank you.
Are those is that the guide that, I know Bert had a big hand in completing or not? Yes, yeah, those are good. And I know we have enough copies of those.
We have lots.
We have lots, okay, and I know at the, Island Days or Island Fest, I think the GROSSE Nature, Conservancy was handing those out, and we do hand those out on a pretty regular basis, so, good.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Conservancy also sends a letter to new residents. And there really is no way for the township or us to distinguish whether people are just moving from one house to another. So that happens, but it's always good to inform people.
Right.
I know our representative at Island Fest was saying that when she was talking to people were saying if somebody from who's lived here since 1962 had not heard of the GROSSE Nature Land Conservancy. And there's a lot of confusion between open space and that,
Yes.
but
Right,
we carry on doing our good work.
very much so. Good, thank you. Our next order of business is to welcome our new commission member, Mr. Raymond Geist, who sits to my left. Personally, I've known Ray Geist for pretty close to 40 years, and he spent many decades on this island, okay? And were you born here?
No.
Oh.
I think it was 8. So the
Yeah.
family moved here in 1964. So there's been a Geist on the island continuously since that time. I haven't lived here continuously since then, but I am in my childhood home now. So it's
Right, yes. And his parents were both educators at Grosse High School and very influential when I was a young teacher, and great mentors in that regard. But Ray will be a great addition. He's already helped out at Dump the Junk and already has helped out, scoped out some of the natural areas of our open spaces, and so we welcome him. I have very sad news to report that I just found out this morning that Mr. Daryl Filarsky, who has served the township and the Open Space Commission for at least 10 years, had passed away, okay, in late May or the 1st of June. And again, he's, was an integral member of this commission and has, maybe in some ways with Cliff St. Pierre, has helped to bring it to maybe the position that it's in right now. Since Cliff was not able to join us today, he at least wrote a note that I can share, at least into the public record, and it's to the Open Space Committee on June 7th, 2022. It says, "Dear friends, I was very saddened to hear that Daryl Filarsky passed away. Daryl was a longtime member of our Open Space Committee and a good personal friend. He worked with us on many projects on the Open Space program. He was very generous with his time and talent, and we enjoyed many dinners at local restaurants and other gatherings. I will miss him deeply. Cliff St. Pierre." So I know other members of the community may not be aware, or if they are, I do know that his memorial service, his mass requiem, is going to be this Friday at Sacred Heart Church at 10 o'clock. So, but again, we are saddened by the news of the death of Mr. Filarsky. We can do a recap, if you would, about Spring Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure, which we held on May 21st, 2022. Anybody want to, we can all kind of share on that, however you want to. I mean, I can start us off, and I think Carl may be doing this too, but again, in spite of the fact that we had a raging thunderstorm pass through that delayed the event by about an hour and a half, we still had at least 248 cars, some who made many trips to the Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure event. This is down a little bit from the COVID response that we had in October, where we had 416. But again, we want to thank the community and all those people who participated in this, and not just but certainly community members. We filled 15 dumpsters with various trash or debris and things of that nature. We had 2 scrap metal containers that were given by Fritz Industries. We also had 77 tires that will be reclaimed and by Waddle Tire. And so instead of going into the landfill or go into open space, we were able to at least salvage those and get those away. I'd like to think, and you guys can concur, that we're probably getting better and better at this, okay? That it was more organized, it was well organized, we had enough volunteers, people were able to get in and out, the flow of traffic was pretty good, even given the fact that it started to rain and then was unbelievably hot afterwards. But again, I think that was a real positive that we all worked together in that regard. I do want to thank all the members of the Open Space Commission who were there and their spouses. I know John Leon was there, Chief John Weeks was there, my neighbor Scott Ryan was guarding the gate, and as was Ray Geist. I want to give special thanks to DPS and Township employees, Donna Deppa, who helped to organize that and has done these successfully for the past several years, as well as John Keim, who runs a pretty mean front end loader, let me tell you, okay, and was able to move things effectively. Also DPS workers, George Marks, former student of ours, and Rob Ponder, I think, is the new guy that was also there. So we had a lot of hands on deck that made that work. I also want to thank Hungry Howie's, okay, and the owner, Cliff Alcantara, for providing pizzas for our volunteers. So we had a nice lunch that we were able to provide to our people. And Hungry Howie's has been very good about They did that in the fall, and hopefully they'll be able to do it again in, this coming fall, but they've been very, very supportive. I think, and we can all agree that I think one of the biggest things that we tried to do is at the end of the day with the treasurers, we were able to elicit the support and the aid of the CAS Community Services in downtown Detroit. And the Reverend Sue Patu, that's her last name, okay, but Reverend Sue drove the truck down herself, and we were very happy to note that the perfectly good furniture that was going to be able to be used immediately or could be used, we filled an entire box truck with that. And then it minimized the amount that we had to put, throw away at the end of the day. But again, I think, and Bert and Teresa would agree, and as would Ray, that we still need to do a better job on that, okay? And it was a question of like contacting either Habitat for Humanity or other groups and organizations such as that at the end of the day. Although Carl texted me when I heard about Mr. Filarsky, he also said that the St. James rummage sale is going to be in late September. And so as I was looking at the calendar, September 26th would be the Saturday before their rummage sale. So that might be a perfect time that if they're going to have their rummage sale the following Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which they generally do, is that at the end of the day, what we could do is, whatever we don't get other charities to take, we could take it to the St. James rummage sale. So that might be an option that we may want to exercise.
I mean, it's, the case with this year is they couldn't accept as much stuff as they wanted to. They filled up, so.
Pretty fast too, right? Yes.
I mean, it's, the more options you have, the better. And this year, we did see quite a few, very usable building materials.
Right.
That, could have, so maybe we need a separate category for that, to place that in this particular area.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be perfect for something like Habitat for Humanity.
You got to speak into your mic, I guess he's trying to tell you. Okay, sorry about that. There you go. Works better, but yes. Okay. So any other comments or questions? Happy tone, yes.
Yes, just a couple things. Being my first one, I thought the people coming in that were usually quite courteous, and followed instructions, directions, and that, and patient too, and that. And those with finding the treasures and that weren't dropping things off, they were kind enough to park out on the street there and that. A couple questions I have. The scrap that was retained or turned in, you said there's monies from that goes to a charity?
It's my understanding that the Fritz Industries in the past has, whatever scrap has been collected, has also then, whatever process they use to condense it and that, the monies that they generate go back to the schools. At least there's something that goes, so maybe that would be, first off, we need to look into that and find out if that is the case. And then secondly, that might help, give you guys some seed money to help with your, environmental awareness group to help, because I know how, schools are strapped, or it's always very, always tough to have a bake sale or something of that nature in order to raise some funds in order to do things that you want to do around the school or in the greater community, so.
Along that line, I was wondering if the flyers for next one and the future ones include that saying proceeds from the scrap collection goes to this, because sometimes people like to think that when they're contributing something like that, it goes to a good cause, and that it raises a little bit of awareness. And the other thing that came up is a couple times is people ask me how much for the find a treasure, and I would tell them it was free. And either at least one person either didn't understand me or didn't believe me and asked me a second time, which got me thinking, is it possible or something we could do is put out like a donation box or something like that, so if anybody comes by and they could donate, and we could say whatever it's gonna go to. You know, not obtrusive or anything like that, but if somebody feels like adding a few dollars, that can go to that cause too.
I'd adverse to
So,
that.
Other than that, that's all I have, thank you.
There's tons of ideas.
Mm-hmm, right.
Well, kudos to Bill for really sticking with the concept of finding somebody to take the treasures, even when he got pushed back because of resources and Reverend Sue being all by herself and everything. So, so that was great because it was not as painful as seeing past dump the junks when good stuff is going into a dumpster.
Right. Good.
So
Thank
thanks
you.
for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you all, and thank the community for making this a successful event. You know, I'm not too much aware, and just as an aside, I'm not too much aware of other communities that do these kinds of things. I mean, are you? I haven't, no. And so, like you said, Ray, when you say that, you know, there's no charge, I mean, there's, you know, I was approached too, like, so how much do we owe you, or what do you, and like, people are incredulous, like, oh, no, you drop something off, or you don't have to drop anything. You can take what you want, okay? And people do, so we're all good with that. So, good. Okay, our next order, so anything else on dump the junk or anything else other than we're looking at another fall one? And again, one of our goals for the entire year was to have at least 2 of these a year, okay? So if we have one in the spring and again another one in the fall. And again, we welcome any student participation and help to volunteer that we can get.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
but do we have an idea when we might have it? Because if I'm not mistaken, we don't have meetings for the next 2 months.
Well, this is what at least the tentative date, or at least a date that was given, if we're gonna, and we need to explore this. Last year, we did it on October 2nd, okay, and we had a tremendous turnout, okay? This year, if we're looking to do it and we're trying to coordinate it with the St. James rummage sale, I think St. James rummage sale might be the 28th, 29th, and 30th. So if we have it like on that Saturday, the 26th, it would give us an opportunity, we would still, I still think we want to coordinate with Cass Community Services as a partner, and anybody else that will. But the points you're making about, maybe we should separate perfectly good construction materials, like that entire vanity that the family brought, that could be used, but then they couldn't use it downtown. Would be a good thing. So we're looking. Well, I'm certainly looking at the end of September or the 1st of October. The other thing we always try to work around is homecoming, okay, and when that is. So if we're looking to get student volunteers or people to help, that kind of coordinate that too. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Good.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Carl, I think you would speak to the trail maintenance update, but again, do we have any updates? And Ray and I did some walking in the woods yesterday, and we can share that. But do you guys have anything in terms of the trails? Teresa, have you been back in the woods by where they did the ditching?
Yeah, a month ago or something.
Oh. Okay. I was in there yesterday before the rain, and that ditch was almost dry, which tells me the flow is significant. And you can certainly speak to any of the flooding that is on Manchester.
Yeah, definitely improved.
So that's been alleviated for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So that's in open space, work with the township and work with Great All, excavators in order to get that done. So that was certainly a good thing. Ray and I walked yesterday and I know Mr. Filarsky when he was alive, and John Keim and Cliff went into the Meridian Woods, and that one portion there that as you walk in, probably how many yards? 200 yards?
Yeah.
Okay. where it's a low-lying area of that vernal wetland is, you know, we were looking to do some sort of a drain there of sorts so they can move and that you can walk over it as opposed to not walk, okay? That's one of the things I'd like to prioritize and get done, okay? So that somehow, whatever kind of piping we use, I think we would work with the, you know, with the Nature Conservancy, would work with the DPS, whatever we can do to get that done to do so. They have spread the wood chips. At least those mounds that were there have been at least, you know, to what degree they're going to be. And when I first saw it, I was like, hey, wait a minute, you know, you still have a sizable amount of wood chips by the entrance to the Meridian Woods there. But, you know, looking at the topography, that's a low-lying area anyway, so it may not be, you know, first off, we're not moving it right away. But the second thing is, it's a question of it may, you know, it may serve a purpose that if people want to ride their bikes or they want to walk, it at least gives them an area where they can, you know, stage in, you know, or at least park it and then walk into the woods themselves. The other thing that we did is that we went through the Ferry Trail area. And Ray, you want to speak to that maybe about what, you know, at least what, you know, some of the things we saw, I think, because that has to, yeah.
I haven't been there myself lately.
Yeah.
You want me to expose all our, we started from the gauge end and never did find the way over to Ferry, so we went the other direction. We started at Ferry, and we did find where it's supposed to go. And they've done a fair amount of work. They've laid down stone in about the width of a little more than a car width or something like that, fairly wide path that goes maybe a couple 100 yards or so in that before it turns wood chips. And it looks like in the low culvert area in that, or you know, low line area, they have looks like they have a drainage pipe set up that they'll need to build up around so people pass over that. So it's been good progress in that. It's probably, you know, wood chips didn't go too much further, but it was probably at least halfway to the connector for the other side in that, which would be I would imagine wood chips in that. So.
So it's not ready for ribbon cutting.
Oh, no.
I
no.
would say no.
No, here's, you know, two things. When I saw, first off, the wood chips have been there, but then we've had like the gravel or whatever, or you know, stone of some sort, okay? There's a pretty good sized road that goes all the way back until it turns into wood chips, okay? So whatever they've done a great job in terms of like at least allowing that kind of access. My understanding, and I think Carl would agree, is that it's the stone is for that culvert. So whatever kind of drainage, and there were like some PVC or some sort of black plastic kind of longer pipes, but they also have a crock pipe, okay, whatever cement, I don't know how large, maybe at least a foot and a half across that's in there. So I think what they need to do is bring the stone and build up that culvert, and then they're going to be able to go over it just like what we need to do in the Meridian Woods, okay? And then they'll build the wood chips or the areas over it, and you can connect. You can't, because it's now private property, you can't go from Ferry to Gage like, 1,000 kids or people did for a long time. So so if you enter from Gage and you think you're going to walk across the ferry, you're going to run into private property, which is very clearly marked, like, turn around, don't go this way. But then we started heading east and west. And so, as we're walking, we're trying to find out, okay, where's it come out to Ferry now? And I think we were halfway to East River by the time we turned around. It's kind of like, well, and again, you got deer trails and everything else that go that way. But again, those at least would be the two things we would like to get done and get done soon. So whatever kind of monies that we have to allocate in terms of our budget, in terms of the maintenance, I think that might not be a bad way to go. And again, I think we already have had motions from past, like when Cliff was the chairperson of this committee, that has said that's one of our things that we want to do, and we've already approved it. So the monies are approved. It's just a question of, is the weather cooperating where you can actually get some kind of heavy equipment, or even not that heavy equipment, get it back there for us to take care of it. So does that answer? So that's at least those two. Has anybody been to the area by the bird sanctuary up in the north end? No. But I'm just saying, I think that part has generally been in pretty good shape for a long time, okay? And that's pretty well maintained, so anything else on, but again, those are at least our two pretty immediate. So even though we may not have like a July meeting, and we'll talk about that in a minute, one way or another, I think we need to get the trails, and we want to do a ribbon cutting and open that as soon as we can, okay? I can also say one thing. The Ferry Trail was particularly dry. So the area when we came in off of Gage, walking the north and south, that was dry. As we headed east and west, that also was pretty dry. So whatever kind of modification of the terrain that they've done has been pretty successful. And so they're, and again, we want to allow residents and visitors to go into our open spaces, use it responsibly, enjoy nature, enjoy the what we have there. So, but again, we want to do that. So anything else on trail maintenance? That makes sense? Okay. The other thing, and I maybe we'll wait for Carl to maybe explain more, but I know at one meeting, like probably in maybe January, February, there was some discussion, at least this fiscal year, that the township was asking the Open Space Commission to purchase some township property to protect into the open space program. And I don't know where that discussion is at this point in time, or where it needs to be. But again, I would like to suggest, or at least recommend, before we do any, make a decision like, oh, that's a great idea, let's just do it, and give up our acquisition budget. I would like to at least maybe have a better understanding and a better explanation of like why there is this need. And then secondly, I also would like to see like if there are parcels that make sense for our open space commission to acquire or to transfer from township to our open space program, whether it be adjacent to something or whether it be either more prime property that we can utilize to expand our Greenways open space, then that's something. But again, I haven't seen it. I don't have you guys. We haven't seen any kind of listing of properties that. So I'd like to propose somewhere between now and July, between now and July 1st, if possible, to have some sort of a study session with the township, whoever it may be, to sit down with us and show us, okay, here are some township properties, but even before that, what's the need? Like why is this necessary? And maybe it's changed since the last time, and I haven't heard. Maybe it's changed since the last time that we did that. But again, I think we need to do our due diligence as a commission to at least to find out and to make an informed decision based on the data that we have in front of us, and so that we can move forward, okay, one way or the other, and that's the case. I mean, ultimately, I guess the township board can say, okay, thanks, here's what we're going to do, but it's a question of, I'd like to think we have we make recommendations to them, and they do listen to what our recommendations are. So, any other question or comment about that? Are you guys amenable or available to meet sometime between now and July 1st? Or today is the, 7th? Yes.
We're out of town the 19th to the 27th.
Okay. Raymond?
I can't think of any conflicts right at this time.
Okay. Teresa, you were on? Okay. So there might be, you're not heading out of town or going on vacation? No? Okay. So let's find out, and I'll propose this idea to Mr. Bloetscher, but also in the township supervisor and township manager, and we'll see what we can come up with. But again, I think we need to look in that direction. One of the also things that we've been looking at is the adopt a trail, adopt a plot, because we know a lot of things when it comes to our old Greenways open space, is that it's a great thing that we acquire it, but it's also not always easy to maintain. Okay, and again, our budget is somewhat finite, and we don't think that we're going for any kind of a millage or bond issue moving forward in the immediate future, and certainly it's nothing that we would propose. But at least for our audience at home, that we're looking to look for volunteers. And I know, Bert, you and I think Liliana we've talked about other models that maybe you've been able to use, or we can, pardon me, and Teresa, yeah. So is there you want to give us an update on that, or any?
Well, actually, Bert sent me over some nice past proposals that they had with the Greenways policy, and it's almost it is a complete policy, and it needs to be modified very little to make it fit for us. One thing that I would like to do is get more businesses involved. If we had a list of all the businesses on the island and see which ones we were going to incorporate,
Right.
or ask to participate, as well as community organizations like schools and what have you. So this would be certainly a program that would be easier done with a multitude of people.
Right, right.
But yeah, we just need to take what the Greenway started and incorporate it into moving forward.
Good. Bert, anything on that, or are you?
Yeah, I think, Cliff and I had talked about it, and it really just needed somebody like Teresa to focus on it and move it forward, and those are great additional ideas too. So, and Liliana had a lot of enthusiasm, and I'm sure that will be picked up by Cassandra.
Right.
And and getting the trail users involved, to identify the people
Right.
who are enthusiastic about them, and
Right.
and get
Right.
them engaged.
I think that's going to be really important, because looking at even the old members of the Environmental Awareness Club, them and NHS students, as much as I would love for everyone to want to be a part of it, they're just not enthusiastic about it. And how teenagers are, they're not going to be like wanting to do anything. So our biggest issue is definitely going to be participation. So
Right.
if we know like what kind of people actually use the trail, those are definitely going to be our best bet for people that will help to adopt a trail and help maintain it.
Right.
So, maybe during the summer months, we could take turns, just so that we're not duplicating our efforts, but saying we're gonna stop by and hang out at trail entrances and do a little survey or something of, who's there and.
Yeah, just funnel, I think the best way to do it is just funnel me all the information that you have, and I think, we need to be churning some ideas and see what we can come up with to kick something off in the fall.
Right.
And
I wonder, how they have those real estate signs, that, those boxes?
Yes.
Maybe we could put a flyer by the main trail entrances, saying, do you want to become a friend of the Grosseal Open Space Trails, or whatever we want to call it? And
Natural areas, right.
We could use those flyers where they have the little fringes at the bottom with like a phone number you can just tear off. Because I know people are just going to like take flyers if we have a box of them and then just throw them out. But
Right, or they end up in the open space, it's like,
Right,
hey, wait a
right,
minute,
yeah.
this is always, kind of counterproductive.
Or maybe a sign with a QR code or an email address or something,
Right.
just to make it digital and make it easy.
I agree. No, but again, I think that's a, a program that we are working towards and would like to see that go in the fall, for sure. Okay, good.
Else we put up trail cams and then with facial identification and,
Well, maybe not quite that, but
Do you
again,
think this is going to move forward more once, the Ferry Trail and all the other trails are, done with their ribbon cutting and are officially set up?
I would think, but again, here's,
I want to take back that comment about trail cams.
Okay, yes, please.
That was just a joke.
Just a joke. First off, we know we have 5 main trails, all right, on GROSSE right now, okay? And, you can always get more. But again, you have areas that, if you had the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, you had the Rotary, you have Kiwanis, you have organizations like that, you have all the realtors, MBA or Island Realty or whomever, that's gonna be their area. And it doesn't have to be on a monthly basis, but that's your area. So if you see something, you need to take care of it. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to keep GROSSE beautiful and keep it clean and keep it, so people can enjoy. Nothing is worse, as you know, than you go into an area and there's trash all over, or bottles, or dog waste, or whatever. It's like, come on, so you want to. But I think if we put the structure together, and it sounds like we have a good handle on the structure, or at least we may just have to modify some of the language, and we publicize it and we get the information out, and we can do that a number of different ways. Certainly GROSSE Grand would be one way, okay, but there are others. Social media is another way, but we could get the schools involved, and it doesn't have just to be the high school. It should be the middle school and the elementary schools. So the more that we can do to do that, I think it'll only help, okay? And once you do that, you point and say, that's yours, okay? You take care of it. Here's your little sign that says this is maintained by, the Environmental Awareness Club of GROSSE. So there it is, and so that's yours. Kiwanis has this area, Boy Scouts, troop, whatever, has theirs. So, I mean, that's the idea. But again, the more volunteers, I think, we have, the better it's gonna be. And it's, and you know this from your own efforts at volunteerism. Once you do it, you feel pretty good about it, and you wanna do it again. You want to, because you take pride in what's going on, and that's what you want, so. I don't think we'd be on this commission if we weren't, you didn't want to make the place better place to live than what it already is, so, or you want to keep it that way. So, anything else? Are there any public comments? I know the buses are circling the parking lot with our audience, but thank you, Cassandra. Do you have any comments, or, no? Okay. Well, hearing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I have, Mr. Chairman, before you adjourn, I was going through the March meeting minutes, and it made a comment here in the open spaces: trees that have fallen or in danger of falling across trails or private property are to be reported immediately to Tony Gray. Since he has retired, do we know who that should be reported to
I
now?
would suspect, my thought on that would be to call the township manager. Would be, I'm speaking
Mr.
to
Theo.
the township manager, but I don't know who Tony Gray's replacement is. But
Right now, I think most of his responsibilities have been split up amongst several people till they
Right.
find a replacement, so
Right.
that's why I was asking. if
That's
there's
what I'm saying.
So just take it to
I would
township
assume the number
manager.
would be the same, wouldn't it?
yeah, it would be, yes.
Somebody's gonna answer the phone.
Somebody's going to answer, so, but if that's the case, and we do know, here's the other thing, if part of our trail maintenance, we do know, for example, in the Meridian Woods, there are trees down across the trail that need to be taken care of. There's the same as we found out in the Ferry Woods, there's a couple trees down in certain areas that if we're going to make that connection, it has to, those trees have to be taken care of, so. Mr. Geist, I will take it upon myself to make that call, okay, to take care of that, okay? And I'll make, no, yes, pile on Derek, that's okay, he's a good guy, he can handle it, okay? Anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So moved, Mr. Geist, second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Weeks, all those in favor? Aye, Okay, great. Have a great summer. And again,